Hey guys, welcome to another Tarot Tuesday. We are so excited to have you with us today. So, today, Jamie and I will be talking about reading tarot with confidence. So, we both have a few pointers for you. So, this will be great if you're just starting out with tarot, or maybe you're an old hat at this, but we could all use a few tips and tricks from time to time. So, that's what we're going to be chatting about today. I have my beer at hand, so this should be a fun conversation. And in the chat, do please let us know if you can hear us all right, because we've been having some technical difficulties with sound. So definitely let us know that you're hearing us loud and clear. Yeah, so hey, Jamie, how are you doing today?
Doing well, and I'm excited about today's topic, which is reading for others confidently. I think that's a really important step for not only reading for yourself confidently, but then starting to read for others. That's going to really just take the next step in being a tarot reader. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. And this is something, I think a lot of people really struggle with. It's kind of intimidating when you are just starting to give readings for other people. And a lot of readers, I think, hesitate or they maybe wait a long time before they personally feel that they're ready and confident to start giving readings. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it's like ripping off a band-aid. You're going to learn a lot more with just practicing it and like going for it. And to try and not, be too nervous because tarot's meant to be fun. It doesn't always have to be serious, but that's definitely I've heard from a lot of people, that they feel a lot of anxiety about giving readings. Do you ever feel anxiety about
I
them?
definitely do for groups of people that are new to me. I actually enjoy giving readings one to one, just like one off. But if I'm doing something in a group or if it's meant for like a party or something like that, I definitely get pretty nervous. Which
Mhm.
really affects a reading. So it's really great to have some skill, like techniques and some skills that are easy to practice before you get into those readings so they don't affect your actual reading here. So if you guys are hopping on too, let us know if you guys get nervous or how your confidence levels are, or if you're beginner or advanced or somewhere in the middle for a tarot reading for yourself or others. We'd love to hear from you too. And feel free to share your tips and practices with us. We'd love to know what you guys do to get in the zone and in the flow of tarot reading for other people.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that as far as like anxiety and nerves go, I tend to just get that excitement feeling when I'm hopping into anything new. And I think that's really just kind of part of our survival mechanisms as human beings. Like our heart starts to race, the adrenaline starts to pump. So we start to get our heart going because we're ready to jump into something new that we haven't done before. So the more I practice, I know that that sort of triggered response or that like survival mechanism will slow down and ease up the more I do it. And it's like, oh, we've done this already. So nothing to worry about. We're not dying here. How about you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And, we talked a bit about this in last week's Tarot Tuesday, feeling a bit intimidated if you're doing readings at a party. And like anything, it gets easier with practice, I think. So, there's a couple things though I think you can do as a reader to make it a little bit easier for yourself. And a lot of times, I think uh, people will maybe pick the wrong deck when they're doing readings for other people. And I think it's important to pick a deck that you feel comfortable with. Maybe when you're doing a reading for someone else isn't the best time to push yourself by using something like, the Marseille deck, for example, or one of the more historic decks that don't have themes on their minor arcana. So those decks can be really beautiful and historic and fun. But if you're worried about forgetting the meaning of a particular card when you're doing a reading, probably best to stick with a deck that has a full narrative scene for, every single minor arcana card.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
when you flip over a card and you just see like three wands and you don't see an
Hmm.
entire scene with it, it might
Hmm.
not exactly jog your memory if you're more of a beginner than if you were to see more imagery around it. So that's definitely great advice.
Hmm. And of course, I love the Rider Waite deck. That's my kind of go-to deck. I definitely feel that I can read really confidently with that, but I also like to use decks that are similar. Like, of course, we designed in part our deck, the Keith Tarot, to be based on Rider Waite so that it would be, fairly easy to read with. It would be a deck that you could, be confident with. And there are, many other decks as well that really do a good job with a lot of symbolism and scenes that really help jog your memory when you're doing readings for other people.
Yeah, I see some people hopping on. Hi, Cassidy, welcome, and
Yeah.
let us know where you're hopping on from. I'm currently in Chicago, just to welcome in some new users right now, and yeah, good to see you guys.
Mhm. Yeah, and today, we're talking about how to read tarot with confidence. So, in the comments, feel free to share any of your comments or ideas or tips for reading tarot. It's always good to share these things with each other, and hopefully, we can all become better tarot readers in the process.
Yeah, and on top of what you're saying about choosing the right deck and actually integrating that tarot practice,
Mhm.
there are so many ways that you can actually use your tarot practice to boost your confidence, right? So, I
Mhm.
mean, use that skill. If you're a tarot reader and you're already reading for yourself, ask the deck things like, how can I boost my confidence? What is holding me back from just things going smoothly? Why am I feeling a certain way? What's a current obstacle? What might help me? These questions that are going to help guide you in your own confidence, because it might be different for everyone. Something that might affect my confidence levels might be different than what affects your confidence levels. So I might have a history of being really nervous public speaking, for instance. So that would affect my confidence levels of speaking to another person, maybe. So somebody else might have a confidence obstacle that is a little bit different. So it's great to actually interact with your tarot deck beforehand and try to sort those things out and journal and reflect on it and use that to your advantage, if that makes sense. So I think it could be a fun activity to help guide you through and boost your own confidence too. So hopefully that'll help a little bit.
Yeah, and kind of similarly on that vein, one of the great things you can do is do a card of the day poll just for yourself. Because, if you're pulling a card each day, you're forcing yourself to jog your memory. What is this card about? What are the key symbols? What is the meaning here? What is my interpretation? So, as you do that each day, those meanings get really ingrained in your mind. And it can also help you improve your intuition so that when you're doing a reading for someone, hopefully those nerves will be at a lower level enough that you can actually use your intuition, because I think that's something we struggle with too. Like you were talking about public speaking, and when we're feeling a bit nervous, it becomes more difficult to listen to our intuition. So anything you can do, maybe even like a little short meditation beforehand, anything that can help kind of ground yourself and allow that, higher wisdom to come through during your reading can definitely, help you read with confidence, I think.
Yeah. Do you have a personal practice for when that happens? Like if you feel those nerves coming up and you start to feel that rush, do you have like a personal practice or go-to method? And we'd love to hear from you guys too if you have any go-to methods. But Um, yeah, just wondering.
Yeah, I think breathing techniques can be really useful. I do the where you breathe in for like 3 seconds, hold it for four, and breathe out for five. And that, for some reason, tricks your brain and helps you calm down.
Yeah,
And you
I
can do
actually
that kind
did.
of
I actually did read.
covertly too, so they're not even going to notice.
Yeah, that's true because you're just breathing. We all have to breathe. I did read something today that breathing, like those breath work practices, you can't, it's like almost impossible to have many thoughts while you're focusing on your breath. So it's
Mhm,
like an instant mind clearer. It's just, it works every time. So
mhm,
definitely try that at home, some breathing techniques. Um,
mhm,
yeah, I think that I also tend to I love affirmations and also like positive motivational speakers are great. Um, I think they're very helpful in reminding you of all the reasons it's great to put yourself out there. So for instance, someone might say, we really need you to be your authentic self. We need that in the world, and they're constantly putting these messages out that they're very positive and they're really reinforcing of why it's important to do this work and how much you're affecting the world, but with your gifts. You're putting yourself out there, which is tough. We get that, but you're affecting everyone else in such a positive way. So it is really worth it to kind of try to get out of those obstacles, overcome those, and make the effort to share your gifts, your wisdom, your intuition with others because you have a gift and you're expanding it. So that's one thing that I like to go to is those affirmations and positive reinforcements.
Yeah, I think that can definitely help to kind of like pump you up and get you in the right mindset before doing readings for others. You know,
Yeah.
another thing I find, a lot of people can get intimidated by when they start doing readings for others is they feel, I think, maybe the need to do like a really big tarot spread, like a Celtic cross or something complex. So I try to, keep it real simple when I'm doing readings for other people. Often I'll just do a three-card reading, and even kind of my method for doing the reading, I try to make it so I'm focusing on one thing at at one time. So instead of a lot of readers will say you have three cards and they flip all three over and then they do the reading. For me, that's like too much information to absorb, and then I get nervous. So the way that I actually do readings for other people is, I'll ask them what they're interested in, getting guidance on today. So we kind of start that conversation. I'll do some shuffling. And then I flip over the cards one at a time. So I'll flip over one card. We'll discuss that card, what it represents, how it might affect them in their life. And only when we've kind of fully exhausted that one card do I then flip over the second one. And then after the second one, maybe I bring in some connections between the first and the second. And, then finally the third card, focus on what that card's about, and then finish up by bringing in any kind of interesting connections I see between the three as a whole. So by taking the cards and talking them through with your client one at a time, I find that it helps it become less overwhelming because I know for me at least, when I flip over a bunch of cards and say I see like a really intense card like the tower or something like that, that's going to distract me from like really interpreting any other cards on the table. So I like to really take it nice and slow one at a time.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually wonder if those Celtic cross readings are also intimidating for the person getting the reading because it's just so much information. Some people love that, and I know I would love that once in a while, but sometimes you just want that quick, like, here's how it goes, boom, boom, boom. A lot of us, we've got a lot going on. We're very busy. To try to absorb an entire like book's worth of information in a reading is quite difficult, and to remember all that and then actually implement it or integrate it into your life and figure out how it actually works in your life is going to be a lot more challenging when there's just so much information. So that's at least for me, because I don't have the forte of a great memory as far as like every little detail. Now I just memorize it all. So that's definitely a very helpful technique as well, for sure. And then we have, thank you for joining us. Carrie says, I can't even read for my sister. No way I can read for others right now. I just read for myself. Yes, I totally understand that. And it would be difficult to read sometimes for family members as well, more so than friends or strangers, depending on who it is. It might be a little bit daunting. What would you say, maybe like when you were a beginner reader, was like the scariest thing about starting to read for another person? You're like getting all set up and you're ready to go, and what was like maybe the main fear of tackling for you?
Yeah, I was always worried about doing a reading for someone and that person expecting some type of intense like psychic experience. They wanted me to like tell them, who they're going to marry, how they're going to meet them, what they're going to look like, all of these details. Or that they would have a question that they already knew the answer to, but they wanted me to like prove myself as like a psychic. And honestly, I'm not very psychic personally, but I still, view myself as a good reader. So my worry was always like people's expectations of what the reading will be like, because we've all seen, tarot in like movies and TV shows, and the way that they portray it is like, someone who's just like channeling all this information and it has all these specific details. And that's not really my reading style or how I'm comfortable reading. I try to be really conversational with my reading, and it's almost like a therapy session for the person. We have a chat about their life and how they're doing, and we talk about how the cards are going to connect with what's going on for them. So I'm very casual in my style, and that's not something I really ever saw being portrayed in these movies and TV shows and media and things like that. So I was really intimidated about, you know, do I have to put on an act? Do I have to like almost pretend like I'm, some gypsy in a caravan with, you know, getting all of this psychic information or messages from the beyond? And that's just not really who I am. And I didn't want to have to like pretend to be something I'm not. So it took me a while to kind of get over that and to become comfortable with the reading style that fits my own personality. So that takes time to figure out your own, reading style and how your personality is going to fit into your reading, because each reader is different, and all their reading styles are different as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know Hollywood tends to over dramatize things to a wild extent because it's entertainment. That's what it is. But
Mhm.
tarot isn't always meant to be entertainment, it's meant to be guidance. So to
Mhm.
be an entertainer is one thing, but to actually, sit down and chat with your client or whoever and work on an issue and resolve it for them is so much more fulfilling than putting on a show for somebody. And it's really also a great point about comparison. I mean, we hear the comment that comparison is the thief of joy. So, whether you're a tarot reader or an artist or whatever your main goal is of achieving or being really great at, comparing yourself to others in your field, it's great to do that to look up to somebody, but when it comes to feeling bad about yourself, that's not going to be the best approach. Using that technique of looking at others shouldn't be to make yourself feel worse about how you're doing things. It should be like, oh, well, I like that quality in this person. Let's integrate it into how I read or how I am doing something, instead of, oh, I like how that person is doing it. Why am I not like that? So it's just a quick mindset switch of thinking about things more positively. Like make that a goal for yourself instead of like putting yourself down. And if you
Yeah,
guys have
yeah.
other fears and things that are obstacles in your way, please let us know. It could be interesting to see what is so scary about reading for other people. I
Mhm.
know for me, when I am sitting down with somebody, I think the first thing that pops into my head is, will I connect? Will this resonate with this person? What will the messages I'm giving to them make sense, or will it just be like staring at a blank wall and they're just not getting the message? I think that's only happened when the words or language needed to be switched around a little in my reading, but truthfully, every single reading that happens, you just have to trust that the right message is coming through at the right time for the right person. It's a lot of trust, because we talk about trusting our intuition, and that's really what this is about. It's allowing and surrendering to that in the moment message. So it's going to come through, and whatever is going to click for them is going to click. And even if it doesn't, then they weren't ready for it, and you just have to trust that as well. So that can be a little sad when you think that maybe somebody didn't connect with your reading, but maybe it wasn't meant to be for them, and maybe this they weren't ready for the message yet. So it's all okay, and it's going to work out for the best.
Yeah, and I think if you're worried about if your reading is resonating with someone, I always just ask them. Like, I'll pull a card, I'll talk about the card, we'll discuss what it means, how it relates to what they're hoping to receive guidance on. And then I ask them, like, does this card resonate at all? Like, how do you feel about this card? Are there any symbols in this card that kind of like jump out at you? So totally, feel okay to like ask them, directly. And they'll tell you usually, how they feel about that card. And that can help you better understand, you know, how this card is fitting in what's going on in their life. So, and it's also a good way to use the client's intuition as well. If there's like a symbol or a part of the image that really stood out to them, then that's their intuition speaking to themselves. So it's good to note that. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I will sometimes ask people, is this making sense? Do you understand do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? No, I don't say that to them. But um, yeah, that's definitely helpful to just have it as a conversation. Remember, you're not just talking at them, that they can interact back with you, and as though you're a friend and getting to know them. Um, yeah, so what else do we have for today?
Yeah, so let's see. We talked about different, tarot spreads, keeping it simple. We talked about the importance of choosing a deck that you're comfortable with. Let's see, we talked about building your own confidence, like you said, through affirmations, or even, trying to ground yourself, maybe even doing a little meditative breathing ahead of time. Sometimes the need to just go for it and face your fears, even though it's scary, and different things you can do to kind of help you increase your knowledge, like pulling a card of the day or doing a lot of practice readings, writing in your journal. Any type of regular tarot practice for yourself is going to help you read with more confidence when you start reading for other people. Yeah, so I think we actually covered quite a bit. Is there anything else that comes to your mind about ways we can build our confidence for doing readings for others?
I think just practice, practice, practice. Like the more you do it, just get started with someone that isn't, too daunting to you. Just or like even just practicing as if you are talking to someone else without someone else being there. That might be a first step for, for anybody. Like there's nobody there. Just pretend as if you are talking to someone. And it might even help. I know they use the recommendation for public speaking to record yourself and get used to watching yourself. It is tough at first, and it's going to be a little weird, but I know that I was really nervous to get onto videos and talk. So this has been a journey for myself as well. You're watching it as we speak. So, a little bit of a tip from someone who's very nervous in front of cameras and other people. Just putting yourself out there, making it happen, getting feedback from people who are in your corner, and supporting you. If you're going to people and showing people that um, aren't aren't supportive of you and your journey, then you might not be getting the right energy going towards you and towards your growth. So if you contact people who are more so supporting you and putting your good energy and positivity towards you, it's just going to keep boosting your confidence more and more until you get to the point where you can just keep practicing with more and more people, and it just keeps going, it keeps growing. So um, yeah, I really liked what you were talking about too, with like the whole conversation thing. So just practicing having these conversations in a fun way, where you're talking to a friend and just call them over and say, "Hey, let's talk about this one tarot card for a minute. What do you see?" And make it more casual. It doesn't even have to be a full reading, right? So these are really casual, simple ways you can start off, and practice using like language. I think there's a lot of language barriers too that happen that can scare us a little bit when we're giving a reading. So we're trying to communicate a message, right? Um, so how do you best communicate a message? That takes a little bit of practice, clarifying your voice, your personal style and personality, as you mentioned. But this can all be started off very casually and fun and lighthearted, so it's a little less scary. I really like just, being able to do these different techniques without starting with a paid client. You can work
Mhm.
up to that eventually, but try these out to just get yourself into the mode of working on those things.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I hope this, was kind of encouraging for you guys if you guys were looking for a little extra motivation to just get started with reading for others, then I hope this little live chat is it for you, because it's really a wonderful and enriching experience to share your knowledge of tarot by doing readings with others. And I really think, the more conversations we have that are deep and meaningful, the better. And tarot is just a great tool to bring more of those meaningful conversations into our lives. So, yeah. Well, this was fun. Thank you guys so much for watching and for joining us today. So, we will be doing another Tarot Tuesday next Tuesday at 5 Central. So I hope you will join us then. And of course, if you are not aware and you just stumbled upon this, Jamie and I are the creators of the Key Tarot. So if you are interested in learning more about our deck, we do have that link down below in the description.
Yep, and next week we will be chatting about getting relationship advice from your tarot deck. So I'm really excited about that one. So this whole month of June has been very social, summer, and reintegrating ourselves back into society basically with the use of tarot. So next week we'll be talking about relationships, and that can be friendships, family members, romantic, and possibly even other things that don't involve people. So your business and things like that. So it'll be a really interesting topic that I'm excited to chat with you guys about. And
Mhm.
yeah, feel free to offer any support with a like and subscribe. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, so feel free to check out next week. We will be here again at the same time, 5 o'clock Central.
Yep. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.